I truly did not think there would be a deck from Silver Tempest that I could be more excited for, and yet every time I look, there's something even better. Hey, Nick from 9cardTCG, and today we are looking at a deck that I already have proxied. Most of it's built. I just had the new cards from Silver Tempest. They are proxied, it's sleeved, it's ready to go, and it uses my absolute favorite Pokemon. This Lugia VStar deck gets to use Single Strike Urshifu and Umbreon. I mean, it's such a good combination of cards. Is it going to be the best deck? I'm unsure, but it's going to at least let me play the cards that I really like in a competitive manner yet again, and I truly could not be more excited for it. But before we get into the actual video, if you haven't already, do me a favor, like, subscribe, comment, all that kind of stuff tells YouTube this is a good channel and other people should watch it. I have the links to Pokegear and the translated Silver Tempest cards in the video description, so if you want to check them out, please do so. A lot of the translations are from the translated proxies are from Talonite X on Twitter, which also linked to their Twitter in the video description as well. And a lot of translations are from individuals such as Talonite, Poker Beach, Justin Basil, Antoine Lay. There's a lot of people that contribute to making these things happen. So thank you all so much for everyone who puts in all this amazing work and effort into letting people like me make these videos. Without further ado, I don't really like saying that because it makes it sound like I have something really big, but I don't. It's we're going to Pokegear. This is going to seem like such a crazy, chaotic listing of cards. However, hear me out. We're going to start with Lugia V, 220 health, lightning type weakness, 2 retreat, pretty standard stuff. Wind reading, discard a card from your hand. If you do, draw 3. Not a bad attack to use if you're going second. Arrow dive does 130 for 4 energies. You may discard any stadium card in play. Not particularly helpful, but if we need to get rid of a Temple of Sinnoh on, we're running against Giratina and they often have Temple of Sinnoh, if we can power up this Lugia V, we can use Arrow Dive to hit for 130 and get rid of that Temple. Lugia V-Star, 280 health, lightning type weakness. It still has a 2 retreat. The lightning type weakness is kind of annoying because Palkia is also weak to lightning and is arguably the best deck in the game at the moment, so sharing a weakness with that is a little bit annoying, but not the end of the world, and we'll talk about why. Storm Dive, 4d4 colorless energies, does 220 damage, and you may discard a stadium in play. So again, we can get rid of that Temple of Sinnoh if needed. There's a very particular setup we would have to make that work, but it's definitely doable nonetheless. Assemble Star, put up to 2 colorless Pokemon from your discard onto your bench, except for Pokemon that have a rule box. Now, there is a very specific Pokemon that we're going to be targeting, ideally with something like Assemble Star, and we'll just kind of get right into it. That is Archeops. Brand new Silver Tempest card. Archeops is a stage 2 that would normally require you to evolve from a mysterious fossil, which is kind of annoying to do, but now all we have to do is discard Archeops and then use Assemble Star to put it directly onto the bench. It has a wonderful ability, Primal Turbo. Once during your turn, you may search your deck for 2 energy cards and attach them to one of your Pokemon. Extremely good ability. You can't split the energy, so whatever, it's similar to like Regigigas' ability, whatever Pokemon you target with the energies is the Pokemon that gets both of those energies. However, if we have more than one Archeops in play, we can use this ability once for each Archeops, which is really, really good. So we could, in theory, power up this Lugia very quickly. We could actually use 2 double turbo energies to power up a Lugia. So like one Archeops can get 2 double turbo energies to fully power up a Lugia, and then a second Archeops can get 2 other energies to power up something else. And as you can see, we have a couple of options for attackers. We have Single Strike Urshifu V with it's such a good, I love this art, it's such a good artwork. Impact Blow for 2 fighting at a cost, does 180, can't attack during your next turn, but whatever. And then the V Max Beatdown for 3 cost energies, does 100 damage, and the G Max 1 Blow for the big 270. Discard all energy from this Pokemon, and you get to ignore all effects and abilities on your opponent's active Pokemon. So that Gudra that's going to take, 80 less damage and 100 less damage because of the Radiant Carnivore, none of that matters. You attack straight through it and take the KO. Now, Nick, what if they have a big charm on there? They have 310 health. We have Single Strike Energy, which increases our damage output by 20 for each Single Strike Energy attached to it. And because we're not using the Houndoom engine to accelerate this, 1, Archeops gets 2 versus getting 1 with Houndoom, and 2, we're not damaging ourselves with Archeops to accelerate these energies like we would with Houndoom. So if we wanted to get 2 Single Strike Energies with Houndoom, it would cost us 40 damage, whereas 1 Archeops can get us those same 2 and we don't take any damage. So that is absolutely huge for this deck. We also have Umbreon V with the mean look. It's not a bad attack, going second or a first turn, you hit for 50, your opponent's Pokemon can't retreat. Now, a lot of decks are playing Escape Ropes and Switch and Scoop Up Net, so it probably won't stick, but it's not a bad thing nonetheless. And the Moonlight Blade will do 80. Unless it has damage counters on it, it's not going to do the second 80 damage, so you're not going to hit for 160 most of the time because, as I just mentioned, Houndoom would damage the Pokemon, but Umbreon, the Archeops doesn't damage it. But we're really looking to use the Umbreon V Max. Dark Signal lets us basically boss up one of our opponent's Pokemon. We choose one of our opponent's Pokemon from the bench and put it into the active when we evolve into this card. And then Max Darkness for the Dark Energy Double Turbo or Double Colorless hits for 160. It's enough to knock out a Mew. You're going to hit for 320. If they have a Oricorio in play, they take 20 less damage. But again, our only source of Dark type energies is the Single Strike Energy, which counts as either Dark or Fighting, and it gives us 20 extra damage. So now this turns into 180, which hits for 360, and now we're taking that one shot on a Mew VMAX extremely easily. So, I mentioned before, Lightning type Pokemon, not really that big of an issue because, well, Single Strike Urshifu is going to be taking some pretty easy one-shots with Beatdown. We don't even have to use G-Max 1 Blow. Get a couple of Single Strike energies on there. We're hitting for 120, 140. That's going to get doubled to 280. Even with a Cape of Toughness, we are still knocking out Vikavolt. So, pretty convenient. And we also don't need to worry about the item lock as much because Lugia is, we can play Professor's Research to discard some Archeops. That's not an item, so we get to play the Professor's Research, discard them, and then use Lugia to accelerate or put those Archeops onto the bench, still not an item, and then use Archeops' ability to get the energies onto the Urshifu, still no item. So we can theoretically, even under item lock, still make this play happen, which is really, really cool. If we need to draw some cards, we have Crobat, we can draw up to 6 cards. Which is really solid. And then we have the Tower of Darkness. Again, as long as it's in play. Actually, it's not even an item, so we can still be able to play it under the Vikavolt. So we can get this into play, discard a Single Strike card from our hand, draw 2, maybe find that Professor's Research that we need, or whatever. Maybe we draw into the Archeops, and then there we go. Yes, would it be really nice to be able to use the Evolution Incense or the Ultra Ball to find the Archeops? Absolutely, but sometimes we gotta deal with what we have. The rest of the deck, Pokemon Search, Ultra Ball, Quick Ball, Evolution Incense. You got a couple of switch outs because this Urshifu does have a pretty high retreat cost, which is kind of annoying. Umbreon, by the way, has a grass weakness, which is not very common, so that's really good. I don't even really know. Earner Vitality is kind of essential to using the Single Strike engine with this because Something like G-Max One Blow discards all the energies we have attached, which means our single strike energies are going to get discarded. We need to recover them so we can continue to use Archeops so we don't run out of steam in that mid-late game stage. So Urn of Vitality lets us shuffle 2 single strike energies from our discard back into our deck, and then we can accelerate those same 2 single strike energy with Archeops to one of our Urshifus or Umbreons. Like I said, we use G-Max One Blow, something gets knocked out, we have to manually retreat. Whatever happens, we can make it we can make it work because of the cycle, right, that we have between discard, earn, Archeops, accelerate. So really nice synergy there. We have a Serena, which is a new card. Discard up to 3 cards from your hand. If you discarded any cards in this way, you may draw until you have 5 cards in your hand. Another really good way of discarding Pokemon or discarding cards under something like item lock, and we don't really have to worry because then we can discard the Archeops and do the little combo that we talked about before. So and then also it just acts as a boss specifically for Pokemon V, but you know what, we want to take 2 prize trades with this deck anyway. Some Marnies, some research, a collapsed stadium to help deal with Palkias, Reggies, Lost Zones, all that kind of stuff. Single strike Tower of Darkness, we already kind of talked about. And then we have a bunch of energies, double turbo energies, so we can power up things pretty quickly. That even includes an Umbreon. We can go ahead and get a single strike energy and a double turbo energy. We're still going to be hitting for the 160, which means 320 was still knocking out Mew as long as Oricorio is not in play. Some powerful colorless energies, which is really nice for now. Our Lugia can hit for more damage. V Guard energy. This lets us take 30 less damage from our opponent's Pokemon V attacks. So it just gives a little, like, now this is a 360 health Urshifu VMAX, and it's going to be hitting really hard every turn. That's kind of annoying to deal with. Even this becomes a 310 HP Lugia VStar. Really annoying. Umbreon becomes 340. Like, it's just kind of annoying to deal with. And then also capture energy, something really nice to play from hand so that we can start to build our bench as we need. And the single strike energies, of course, for our single strike Pokemon to do a lot more damage. I am hyper pumped for this deck. We hit for some of the best weaknesses in the game in the form of Urshifu and Umbreon. Now, one of the things that I'm actually excited for that I haven't seen yet is that this engine lets you run other types of single strike Pokemon, because we can use Archeops to accelerate impact energy, which uses it counts as every type of energy. So it doesn't give you the damage buff that single strike energy does, but you can't be poisoned. So all those Galarian Weezings that you might encounter, which are actually kind of annoying, now can't poison you, which is super cool. And we can use things like the Breloom. If there's an electric type single strike, which I don't think there is, it would be available, and we can finally accelerate impact energy, because Houndoom can't for some reason. Archeops can. So I'm super pumped. I love single strike. It is my favorite deck it was my favorite deck, and the fact that I get to play it again, it's a little bit more convoluted. We have to get a stage 1 into play with the Lugia VStar, and then get the Archeops into the discard. But once we do, we're kind of set. And that makes me very, very happy. So that's pretty much the whole deck. There's just a lot of different energies. Temple of Sinnoh is your nightmare. Path of the Peak, very early game, can be a little bit annoying. But honestly, once we use this V-Star power, what abilities do we have? We have one Dark Signal we can use. Cool. That's kind of like our boss. You know, we only have one boss option, but we're hitting really, really hard. It doesn't kind of matter what's in our way. This Urshifu can, with 4 single strike energies attached, you're hitting for an additional 80 damage. We're hitting for 350. That's really good. Able to one-shot anything in the game. Earn a Vitality, get those energies back. 2 Archeops again. And then we just repeat 6 prizes. Boom. Even if in the face of Kyurems, it doesn't really matter. There's just so much we can do. But aside from the Dark Signal and the Dark Asset from Crobat, we really don't care about Path once we use our Assemble Star. It's really just something like Temple of Sinnoh, which some decks like Arceus Giratina, maybe something like a Palkia deck might run. The Giratina, not Arceus Giratina, the Lost Zone Giratina will run. You don't see it too much, but, you know, whatever. I do think this deck will struggle from being a little bit clunky at times. You don't have a very good answer for things like Miltank, so maybe putting in like the single strike, fusion strike, rapid strike Deoxys into something like this, that you can hit that Miltank really hard, because you can accelerate the single strike energies to it, and not only do you, is it a single prize attacker, but you're going to buff that, so you can hit really hard with the Deoxys. That might not be a bad idea. Other than that, there's really not a ton that this deck like does super well. You're really reliant on your Marnies and Research for draw. You have a little bit of draw from something like Tower of Darkness, but there's no Bibarel engine in this, so if it turns out that maybe we don't need the 2/2 Umbreon, maybe we just throw in 2 Drapions and it frees up 2 spots for us. Maybe we don't need 4 Archeops, maybe we go down to 3, and then now we're starting to be able to squeeze in a 2/2 Bibarel line, like we just made 3 spots, and we just cut one more thing from this deck, and now all of a sudden we have a 2/2 Bibarel for a little bit more consistent draw. Might not be a bad option, but it's just so many possibilities with Lugia and the Archeops combo that I'm super pumped. And yeah, we just gotta end it, because I could talk about this for a very long time. So we're just gonna wrap this up. So there you have it. Lugia single strike. Is it gonna be fantastic? I don't know. It sounds on paper like it can do really well. Is it gonna be? Who knows, but I'm going to be playing it for sure nonetheless. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, found this informative. If you did, like, subscribe, comment. Let me know what you want to see next. And that's going to do it for us today. Thanks so much. I'll see you next time.